We begin with a seismic moment for Syria and the Middle East. Rebel forces have seized control of the capital, Damascus, ending the repressive 24-year rule of Bashar al-Assad. This was the scene in Damascus as fighters and civilians celebrated Assad's overthrow. It is a stunning development in a brutal and bloody civil war stretching back almost 14 years. The streets are now a lot quieter, with rebels declaring a curfew until just before tomorrow morning. Assad is believed to have fled. His whereabouts are unknown. Video has since surfaced of people ransacking his vacant presidential palace in the capital, with some seen leaving, carrying some of his furniture. For more on the fall of the Syrian regime, we go now to our senior international correspondent, Margaret Evans. She's at Lebanon's border with Syria with the latest.
Yeah, well, like the story of this rapid offensive by the opposition groups today has been just as rapid. If you can hear in the background, what you're hearing is celebratory gunfire here in Lebanon. I'm on the Lebanese side of the border. That's been going on all day. As you say, there has been a curfew announced in Damascus and in other parts of Syria by the opposition groups. The sun is starting to go down. We've been hearing here on the border that there's been some looting taking place just on the other side, on the Syrian side, where there are no more official border guards from Syria. Just that gives you a bit of a taste of the uncertainty that's still in the air, despite the calls from the opposition who are now in Damascus and clearly in control there, telling people to remain calm, telling them not to try to enter Syrian government institutions or public buildings, asking people to remain united. Of course, we began to hear in the early hours of the morning that the opposition rebels had indeed taken the capital, despite the fact that Syrian government spokespeople or a spokesperson appeared on state television last night insisting that Syrian government forces were still fighting the rebel forces. We saw video of the interior minister out and about talking to police and telling journalists that there was an impregnable barrier around the capital that the opposition fighters wouldn't be able to penetrate. Clearly they did. One of the first things they did was take control of state television. They announced the end of what they described as the criminal regime of Bashar al-Assad. And they also went to the home of the Syrian Prime Minister, former Syrian Prime Minister, potentially acting Prime Minister. He had issued a statement the night before saying he wasn't going to be leaving, and that he was going to assist in any kind of a transition that might take place. We saw television pictures of him being escorted by opposition fighters from the south. As you know, Damascus was kind of in the center of this pincer movement, people coming down from the north and up from the south. He was escorted, we believe, to one of the big hotels in town where some of the international organizations like UNHCR are located. The speculation being that they're trying to keep the situation calm. They're trying to present a picture of an orderly transition. That, of course, it remains to be seen, because these are opposition groups who are quite different in terms of their ultimate goals. But for now, they're trying to present unity of purpose, a picture of unity of purpose, and that has been their goal all along, to topple the Syrian regime, and they've done that today.
Margaret, we were hearing some of that celebratory gunfire, as you were saying. What else are you seeing there at the border?
Yeah, I think that there's a big bus behind me now. That's people coming, obviously, from Syria. So people will still be nervous about what's going on there, especially as we are hearing these reports of looting, and there'll be a fear of a lack of control. You'll also see people potentially from Bashar al-Assad's Alawite minority being nervous, or potentially people who are supporters or civil servants in the regime, people who will be nervous about what might come next. And in our hotel this morning, before we left, we saw some very unhappy looking people who had arrived from Syria. We are, of course, also seeing people going the other way. Many Syrians that you speak to in Lebanon haven't been able to return to their home. They've been separated from their families for many years. And that, of course, will resonate for many Syrian Canadians who fled during the course of this long civil war. The separation, very difficult to bear. We just spoke recently with a man who is traveling with his children. He's here at the border trying to see that he can properly get across. We met another family earlier, said they're going back because they had been opponents of the al-Assad regime, that they were targeted. They said they're going back knowing that their house no longer exists, but their desire is just to get back home. Other people will be more cautious because these are still very uncertain times. And of course, you have governments here in the region and outside and beyond urging peace, peaceful transition, calm, and to take good caution in the days and steps ahead. And that's what we're waiting to see next. What will the opposition groups, how will they proceed? They actually have a name for themselves already. They're calling it the Transitional Council. So very well organized to a certain extent, but these are very early hours, not just days, but hours at this stage.
That's CBC's Margaret Evans at the border of Lebanon and Syria.